That's true. I was in Orlando. We went up for that assignment. Of course, the fifth anniversary was a milestone. I used to work in Orlando locally, so I still have some friends and contacts. So I was able to kind of leverage some relationships I have to see if we could find someone that had survived it. I really wanted that authentic voice. And I wanted there to be the opportunity to meet that person or be connected to that person with just an extra layer of trust rather than just going out with a mic and kind of going fishing, um, because it's a very, it's a very personal and heart-wrenching topic to cover, anniversary to cover. So then there's that balance between getting there, doing the live shots you're scheduled for, talking about the story. This marks the fifth year, what this has meant, how we have digested this as a society since then, why this story transcended the Orlando community and really hit the whole nation and beyond. But then there's the opportunity to do the very good storytelling and to have the authentic voices. So the piece you saw, I was connected with that person, and then it's about weaving that and making it into a piece and hitting the deadline, right? So that's an example of something that they gave me a little more time for, but not time to produce it. In terms of, once I interviewed him, we had to get it together really quickly. I've never been an MMJ. I've always worked with a photographer. I really appreciate, defend, and admire the reporter photographer relationship. I am not supportive of the MMJ model in TV for several reasons, which is part of a whole other conversation. But when it comes to the craft and the art, right? When you have somebody who's very good and when you can craft that script and you are now trained when you're doing the interview, by now I know that's the soundbite, that's the soundbite, that's the soundbite. And then I pull up those sound bites, on the laptop. We worked in the news unit, right? Because we drove up to Orlando from the Miami area where we're based. And I knew that these sound bites were good. I had to weave it. I have to vet it. I have to make sure that this story about this individual makes sense with the timeline, build in the greater context. But then I need my photographer to come in on a very short time and paint the pictures that, first of all, tell the story of this character, but tell the greater story, and it looks good. And then we got to be live and I got to perform. Because when I'm in those moments, I really feel like if I have somebody who's opened up in that kind of way, it's my responsibility to execute this with no question that there's going to be distractions. So I need to be prepared and composed when I'm on the air. I need to present their story. I take pride in that. And then I want the piece to look like art. I want it to look on television like it's the best version it can be. And sometimes, to take this as a launching point to another greater theme, when I'm tired, or you do, when you cover a lot of heavy things, sometimes you take in the heartache of people. And sometimes when I'm tired and I'm not in that mode, but I have to hit a deadline, I will literally sit down before I write or log, and I will take a deep breath, especially if I've done that interview, let's say weeks ago, if it is a long form, and I will bring myself back to the place where we did that interview, and I will connect with a moment that we had off camera, and then I will tell myself, do this for them. And that's how I go into these types of pieces. Um, when I was at the border in South Texas, I had a news director who, she was a female news director, very committed to the area of the Rio Grande Valley. And as you know, there's a lot of issues. I covered a lot of things that had to do with the undocumented community, poverty, human smuggling, which there's the whole political side of these stories, but then there's the people side of these stories. And she taught me in a lot of ways. I used to get really sad. Sometimes I'd get back to the newsroom and I was literally inconsolable that these were the lives that people were living. And she helped me mature in that. And it was like the best thing you could do is give your best to the individual stories.